Shocking new details have finally came out about the Celtics' decision to select Baylor Scheierman with the 30th pick in the NBA draft. Today on Celtics Digest, we're going to talk about Baylor Scheierman, why we selected him, why we didn't select a certain player from Duke that a lot of people are talking about, and the reason why he wasn't selected by us. As always, we'll always appreciate the support here on Celtics Digest, and subscribe for more videos on Celtics news, rumors, and reports about everything Boston Celtics. Without further ado, let's get started. So obviously, with our first round pick, we selected Baylor Scheierman, a guard, one of the better guards in the draft. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about all the potential and stuff, but he is an older guard as well. So Baylor Scheierman, a guard, he went to Creighton, 24 years old, but obviously for the Celtics, we don't really need these projection guys. We want these guys that can really come in, fill a role, and they know what they're going to be able to do on a night in and night out basis. In college, he averaged 18 points per game, 3.9 assists, and 9 rebounds per game. Someone that's able to rebound is very important for our team, obviously, and very important in the NBA in general. So seeing that he was able to be a good rebounder for Creighton is obviously going to be a perfect reason why he's going to fit our brand of basketball. So obviously the biggest thing is that he was a great player for Creighton. Obviously he played there for many years, but he was a great player, and he really knew, he was really fastened to do everything on the court. He was able to shoot well, he was able to rebound, and he was able to get assists with the best of them. Obviously he was a guard, so that makes it very easier, and everything like that. And the best thing is that he's going to be able to fit the Celtics mold. And I think he's going to be able to fit this new Celtics team, this new culture that we're really bringing in about hard work, and really fitting in, the best way I can describe it is fitting in that blue collar, Celtics pride, Boston pride. That's the best way I can describe it. He says, I'm a hard worker, I like to work, and I like to compete. He just likes to make an impact on the game any way that he can. And I really like this quote because I think that brings in all of his game altogether. He's someone that's very ready to get it done for you on a game-to-game basis. And, John Fanta, someone that covers a lot of the Big East and a lot of games for Creighton, he talked about how this was really a gem selection. Obviously, he's an incredible skilled offensively, and he has someone that can become a player that plays 10 plus years in the league. Elite feel and high IQ and unlimited range. I think this is a perfect quote and really sums up everything about Baylor Scheierman as a future Celtic. Obviously, he might not get the position to play currently right now and might have to spend the year with the main Celtics, but it's highly possible that he will be able to play in future years and be able to fill that Sam Hauser type role. Because obviously we're going to have to pay Sam Hauser, and who knows whether or not he's going to come back or another team is going to poach him off. But I really like how Fanta talked about how he's a 10 plus year guy in the league, because he does have that elite feel and high IQ type player. I really see him being someone that projects really well for the Celtics and someone that has a huge, huge future with us. But that brings me up to my next point, and honestly, the Filipowksi drama. So, a lot of people are talking about Kyle Filipowski as being someone that the Celtics could use because of the future of Porziņģis is someone that we don't know whether or not he's going to be able to play a lot this year. Obviously, he's going to be out for the first 5 to 6 months. Coming back in the November, December, January months. Obviously, that's a large chunk of the beginning of the season. And you want to be able to have someone that can play those brunt of those minutes for the beginning of the season. We obviously know we have Al Horford and Luke Cornett, someone that's going to be a restricted free agent, as well as Xavier Tillman. So we obviously have these players that are going to be free agents. We don't know whether or not we're going to bring them back. So obviously, in the minds of everyone, probably Brad Stevens as well, it was a good idea to look into Kyle Filipowski. And a lot of people were very surprised that he had dropped in the draft. And I think the biggest reason for this is basically this incomplete and insane saga that just came out during the draft last night about his parents and his current girlfriend. So obviously, his family members were on social media talking about that he was groomed by his current Mormon girlfriend, and they are no longer in contact with Kyle Filipowski. Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend is currently 28 years old, and she graduated from U of Alabama in 2018. This is really crazy information to bring about the player. During Filipowski's draft interviews, he was very nervous about being, in the draft interviews, and that really made him slide down the draft, projections and stuff. So it was very interesting to see that the Celtics didn't capitalize on this, but you can tell by the red flags that had recently come out why they didn't make this selection. Obviously, a very interesting pick about a very interesting player. And I think the biggest thing about that is just who knows whether or not he was going to be ready for the draft, It was very much an interesting thing about that. And especially from Jonathan Givney, ESPN Draft Insider, which he says, the workouts weren't great. People tell me there were question marks about his interviews. They said he was nervous. He didn't make shots at the pro day. What's going on with his girlfriend? This is all nonsense. It's hard to find a 7-footer like Kyle Filipowski, who is very skilled, and someone needs to draft him very early in the second round. Obviously, he went to the Utah Jazz, so this makes a lot of sense. But in the range of it is that it's very insane, this story, and it makes a lot of sense why the Celtics didn't select him. I don't think I would have taken the risk and drafting him currently, and I don't think now, knowing what I know, he was the best selection was Baylor Scheierman. Another thing is that obviously he's a former teammate of Jayson Tatum. So it's very interesting to see why Jayson Tatum was not really someone that wanted to select him. Jayson Tatum was talking about how a lot of teams are going to regret passing up on Flip. So it brings the next question of whether or not Jayson Tatum even knew himself, because seeing all these things come out during the second round, and especially when you're, just about to get drafted and live out your dream, is very sad. And hopefully, Kyle Filipowski realizes what's happening, probably gets in contact with his parents and figures out, his side of life, because obviously this made him draft down the draft boards and make him lose a lot of money. But as always, we got to go into our next point, and that is now we're going to be talking about my final draft thoughts. And obviously, I think we had a pretty good draft, and we pretty much drafted as well as we could have. Obviously, Baylor Scheierman is a player that's going to be, I think he's going to be a Celtic for a long time. He's a very, very, very great player, and I think he's going to be the difference that helps us in future years to obviously continue this dynasty that we're going to be heading into with everyone's thoughts, I obviously hopefully think that the Celtics build him well, but I obviously have this idea that I already know that we're going to build him well because of the players like Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Derrick White, who we really built and as well as drafting, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. We've really built our players from the ground up to make them who they are today and to make us the team that we are right now. Obviously, with the additions of other players, and with free agency coming up, we're probably going to get the big that we need. So, once again, Baylor Scheierman, our first-round pick. Obviously, we didn't select Kyle Filipowski for all of the other reasonings behind the draft and behind his basketball ability. This is another episode of Celtics Digest. Subscribe down below. I'm your host, Godfrey Sympre. Have a good one.